For more on China's economy and what this latest data means and everything else about the economy there, economics and public affairs commentator Einar Tangen joins us now live from Beijing. Good to see you, sir. A lot of data that we just talked about earlier on with Kathy, also with Jane. The economy, the retail sales, is it a mixed picture or is there a silver lining to this?
Well, there is a silver lining. What you have here is China is restructuring its entire economy. I mean, everything that's been going on, the anti-corruption drive, the shift away from SOEs towards SMEs, finance reform, all of these things are part of a complete overhaul structural. I mean, what people have to realize is that China is a command economy and they're able to do things that we in the West don't. They don't rely on the, quote, natural cycle of economic affairs. They have their own way of doing it. It's very practical. It's very new. It's a road not followed. So it's something that you have to continue watching and analyzing.
There's this term that's being used quite often called the new normal of the economy when you're referring to China. And I'm wondering if you can help explain to our audience what does new normal mean?
Well, the new normal has two aspects to it that people have to remember. The first one is it's lowering expectations and getting people used to the idea that China will not always be in a double-digit growth pattern. It was put out by PIMCO, and then it was kind of repeated by various pundits, and then finally by Xi a few days ago. And what he's saying is that China is on a balancing path. They're not going to pursue growth at any cost. What they're going to do is make sure that the economics and the society go hand in hand. There's a lot of drive towards making sure that areas, especially in the western part of China, are going to participate in this. But behind this, there is still tremendous growth. You have to remember, over the next 15 years, they're going to be moving 100 million people from rural areas into urban areas. And this will create a tremendous amount of demand.
There are a lot of critics out there, and more recently the conference board said that China may experience a sort of long, soft fall when talking about the growth to 4% in 2020. Now, that is a big difference in what we're used to hearing when we talk about China's economy. And I guess my question to you is it fair that the critics are worried about this?
Of course, it's fair that they're worried about it, but what is their basis? This has been one of the things that's been confounding economists for quite some time. If you go back, Philip, and you start looking at all the pundits, they were forecasting 10, even 15 years ago, and ever since then, that China was going to experience a very sharp and dramatic fall. Now, that didn't happen. China was able to weather the financial crisis a little bit better than others, but there was a cost to it. They had to put in a lot of stimulus. It was very broad-based, and as a result, a lot of it got wasted. Now, the big issue here is that they're borrowing more than they're growing. And this is the thing that's going to have a lot of concern. There's also the issue about land, real estate prices and things like that, and the supporting industries. But you've seen the government over the last couple of months adjusting things on a very pragmatic basis. While they have goals, they will continue to fine-tune the mechanism by which they do this. So, for instance...
That's a really good point. We talked about the real estate thing for a brief moment, but that brings up a really good point, is that do you think the administration is doing the right thing? Are they doing too much or too little when it comes to sort of managing that, I hate to use that word, but managing real estate?
Well, too much or too little is something that history will tell. I think they're right on point. I think if you look at the adjustments that Li has been making, it's trying to lead things on, but it's very pragmatic. I mean, he's not getting the results that he wants initially. If you look at the Shanghai FTZ and some of the other projects that they're pushing, especially in finance, they're trying to push these things along to rebalance the economy away from these SOEs, which, like our large entities, are not as productive or innovative as they need to be, towards SMEs. Yeah. I mean, SMEs are right now providing 80% of the job growth in China. So this is where they're heading.
I only have time for one quick question, and it's something that's bothered me for quite a while, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that's thinking this, but we talk about China's growth, whether it's 6% or 7% or 8%. Why does it matter to the rest of the world so much, beyond the obvious of buying more goods? But does it really matter, say, to the U.S.?
Yes and no. I mean, the U.S. and China have a complex relationship. First, there's one in terms of competition for resources. The second one is competition for manufacturing. But actually, China's still at a secondary level. I mean, the main competitor for the U.S. right now is Europe. And then the third level is a competition for markets. Now, China is a massive market. India may materialize, Indonesia, a lot of Asia. But what you can see is that a lot of the emphasis economically, just like the wealth line, is shifting east. So what it matters to the U.S. is what can we get access to these markets, and what is the shape of this future relationship going to be?
Okay. Einar Tangen, thank you very much. Appreciate the candid comments.